Welcome to Xilinive. Today we are going to discuss about the frequently asked questions in reference to the Agile environment, which is essentially important for any project development nowadays. As you all well aware about, Agile is a kind of methodology we are using widely across application development, so that using Agile, so we can implement the project very fast. Whatever the iterations and all, everything can be implemented in a short iterations format. At the same time, whatever the delivery of the project and all, everything can be done on release wise. So there are advantages in reference to the Agile, as you are well aware about. Agile has an advantage where last minute changes are possible. Even customer collaboration will be there in Agile environment. When we are comparing this with the traditional model doesn't have that customization, where any last minute changes if customer is expecting, which is not possible for us to do. Whereas in reference to the Agile environment, we have an advantage where we can do last minute changes, and whatever the amount of work we are going to do, that releases and all, everything can be planned accordingly, especially in Agile environment. So there are few questions which I have written on the Word document, which I am going to explain each and everything in detail here. I am going to write down for each and every question. So this is all something like Q&A kind of stuff. So question followed by the answer is what I'm going to write now. So this is how and what generally the questions were all about. Now, when you talk about this, the first question is what exactly Agile is all about. This is the first question. So normally most of the people have a conception over Agile, nothing but a methodology. Some people say that Agile is a methodology. Some people say Agile is a way of approach. Some people say Agile is a process, and so on, right? So different things people will say, right? So different opinions, different things will be said. So in make it very short, Agile nothing but Agile is a way of approach which is being used by the team to perform their task based on the flexibility, based on the task, based upon the flexibility what customer is expecting. This is what generally Agile is what we are using, right? So why Agile is being used? Because of this reason. So Agile is a way of approach which is using by us for a very long time, where Agile has an advantage where we can perform the activities and all, everything based upon the flexibility, all that. Now the second question, why are we using Agile, right? So this is the next question. When we talk about, so why are we using Agile? It is very simple. Agile we are using nowadays for different reasons. First, flexibility at work. This is the first reason. We have a flexibility at work. Second point, changes can be made at any point in time. We can do changes at any point in time. Next, it is all something like time boxing method. Means there is a time boxing framework. Within the time boxing, we have to complete the task. This is what generally time boxing stands for. Followed by the time boxing, where release can be planned in short iterations. So these are the few advantages why we are working on Agile. At the same time, last but not least, I am mentioning customer collaboration. Because customer has an advantage where customer representative will be a part of Agile environment. So we have a provision where we can do customer collaboration so that we can implement Agile accordingly. So why are we using Agile environment nowadays? Because flexibility at work is possible. Changes in the application development can be done at any point in time. It's a time boxing kind of stuff. Release can be planned, as well as whatever the amount of work you are doing can be done on short iterations. At the same time, release can be planned in the same manner. Release 1, release 2, release 3, release 4, and so on. At the same time, customer collaboration is also there. So when there is a customer collaboration, the advantage is that whatever customer is required, so customer will explain us in detail to us. So based on that, implementation and all, everything will be taken place. That's the reason why Agile is what we are using. Now the third question, why Scrum, XP, Kanban all about, right? What are these? Because most of the people have a conception here. As we heard about Agile and all that, then what is meant by Scrum, XP, Kanban, all that? So the answer is very simple. See, whatever the frameworks and processes we have mentioned above are the ones used in application development depends on the kind of expertise what team is having, followed by that which methodology or framework or process is convenient, right? So this is what it is. So major advantage I can see, for example, when you are comparing Scrum and Kanban, let's say if you take Scrum, there is a possibility where you will be having 3 different roles. You will be having a product owner as separate. At the same time, you will be having a Scrum team as separate. You will be having a Scrum master as separate. That is how generally Agile Scrum will be. So Scrum is having 3 different roles, like product owner, Scrum team, Scrum master, all that. But whereas when you see a Kanban, you don't see any kind of roles, all these, because Kanban is a development team. Whatever the development, whatever the activities has to be performed, everything has to be taken care of by the Kanban board itself. This is one difference you can see. One more difference is, as Agile said, yes, changes can be made at any point in time, but subject to terms and conditions. Let's say, for example, there is a sprint which was started. So whenever we have started a sprint, there is a time, assume that there is a time of 2 weeks which is being given. Now all of a sudden, customer wants to make some changes in the existing user stories which was already finalized. So by the time what happened, sprint goal was finalized. If there is any changes we have made, automatically it will be impacted on the sprint goal. So with the consent of the development team, normally whatever the amount of work which customer is expecting us to do will be done on the next sprint, right? That is what generally we do in Scrum. But whereas when it comes to the Kanban and all everything, so in Kanban you don't have the provision, because in Kanban we don't have an advantage about this sprint, all that stuff. Why? Because Kanban has an advantage where we have a task, and whatever the changes and all everything can be done accordingly. So to make it the answer very short in this, Scrum, XP, Kanban and everything are different frameworks and processes which is a part of Agile. Of course, it's a part of Agile umbrella. Depends on the expertise depends on the requirements, depends on the other technical requirements and all. Whether are we following Scrum, are we following XP, Kanban and all, everything will be decided accordingly. Sometimes traditional model followed by Scrum will also be used. Sometimes Scrum with Kanban, that's what we call it as Scrumban, we call it as. So this way also we will be using in Agile environment. Now the fourth question. So why are we using Scrum nowadays? As I told you, the answer is very simple. Because of the flexibility and success rate, at the same time this is convenient for everyone to understand, because even a person who is new to Agile environment can also understand Scrum well. I don't say that remaining things are difficulty, but Scrum has more advantages. That's the reason why we use more Scrum of that sort, right? This is what generally the advantage is. Now, what are the different roles are there in Scrum? This is the next question. So Scrum has different roles. The first role in Agile, Scrum roles are as follows. The first role we call it as product owner. Second role we call it as Scrum team. Third we call it as Scrum master. So a product owner is the person who define the goal and vision of the product. Whatever the product you are going to develop, goal and vision of the product is what generally product owner do. This is what defining the goal and vision of the product. Next, creating epics, writing the user stories, followed by this creating and maintaining product backlog is what being a product owner we do. Because as I already mentioned here, product owner is the person whom we call it as a client representative. If product owner is the client representative, what is that he require? He has to define the goal and vision of the product. So that sort of clarity is required. Next, they have to create epics. Epic nothing but large scale of solution. This is what we call it as epic stands for. Large scale of solution is what we call it as epic. At the same time, not only that, writing down the user stories. What is user story? A short description of requirement is what we call it as user story is all about. So normally in traditional model, whenever you are writing documentation in reference to requirements document, we prepare like BRD, functional requirements, SRS documents, all that. But whereas in Agile environment, we don't have a provision where you don't require, you don't have the time as well as the feasibility to write documentations as separate. In spite of that, what is that we are doing? We are simply writing down the user stories in a shorter format. Of course, there is a template we follow. That's it. Anyway, that video I was already posted, I hope, in my previous video class sessions and all, in my video recordings, so that you can go through that. So a short description of requirement, we are writing down the user story so that people can understand, development team can understand well in advance and they can work accordingly. This is what generally user story stands for. The followed by the user stories, the next is about creating and maintaining product backlog. So what is product backlog? Product backlog nothing but it's a repository to store all the user stories. Repository to store all the user stories is what we call it as product backlog stands for. So from this product backlog, whatever the user stories you require and all, everything will be taken by us accordingly. So this is what generally a product owner role is all about. Now, when you talk about the Scrum team role, it's a combination of developers, testing team, etc. These people are responsible to complete sprints on time based on the timelines which is fixed. Normally, especially in Scrum, the major responsibility will be on the shoulders of the Scrum team. Scrum team is the person, are the people who is responsible to complete the task, means which user story is to be taken based upon the objective what product owner has said, what kind of business value and complexity that particular user story is having, followed by this based on the story points and all, which user story should be taken on that particular sprint and all, everything will be decided by the Scrum team. This is what generally Scrum team do. When it comes to the Scrum Master role, usually Scrum Master is the person who will be focusing more on managing the Scrum team, because he is the one who is going to manage the Scrum team, because whatever the impediments we have in Scrum, so all these will be taken care of by the Scrum Master. Next, he acts as a servant leader. Acts as a servant leader, right? So this is what generally the responsibility of a Scrum Master. If you are a Scrum Master, your responsibility is to manage the Scrum team. Next, act as a servant leader. This is the second one. Followed by this, tracking the progress of work. Means whatever the amount of work was done by the development team, so that work progress and all, everything will be done by the Scrum Master. To track the progress of work, there are different charts will be prepared by the Scrum Master using Jira. So using Jira is one of the project management tool, and bug tracking tool. Scrum Master will prepare. Scrum Master will prepare sprint burn-down charts. This is what generally they prepare. Sprint burn-up charts, burn-down charts, and all, everything will be prepared by the Scrum Master. At the same time, not only they are tracking the progress of the work, velocity of work will also be done by the Scrum Master. Velocity means, for example, there is an amount of work which was done by the team. Based upon the success and failure, what is that they did? How much work is balanced? What is the available timelines do we have? Based on that, are they really capable enough to complete the given time work and all, everything within the time frame? Based upon the release, what is that we have planned or not, must be ensured by the Scrum Master. So velocity of work and all, everything will be done by the Scrum Master. So being a Scrum Master, your responsibility is to manage the Scrum team. You will be acting as a servant leader, tracking the progress of the work using different tools. Major tool is Jira. This is what will be used now. Followed by this, velocity of work and all, everything will be done by the Scrum Master here, right? So these are the different roles which is there in Scrum. Whereas when in reference to the Kanban and all, everything, you don't have that option, right? So that is one thing which we must be knowing with. So the major responsibility of a Scrum Master, as what I have shown you. At the same time, whatever the skill set being a Scrum Master you need to have and all, everything as explained to you. Next, now one more important point I would like to mention as here is, what are some practical scenarios being a Scrum Master are we facing here? right? This is the next thing which we must be good with, or which must be knowing. So the practical scenarios are as follows. The scenario 1. What was the scenario? For example, team has committed to complete the sprint within the given time frame, but later we found they couldn't complete it based on the timelines, right? So what is that being a scrum master you're going to do, right? This is one scenario where we have to see. Next, scenario 2. There is a daily scrum meeting will be conducted, right? Daily scrum meetings will be conducted. In this, there is a discipline that everyone should attend, right? Every team member should attend. That is what generally discipline, except product owner, everybody will be attending. Everybody should attend. But some cases, few people won't attend due to multiple reasons. How you are going to handle those people? Right? So this is the second scenario. For example, one more scenario is the sprint goal was defined. Team is working on the sprint. In between, client wants us to make some changes. How are we addressing the problem, right? So how we are going to troubleshoot the problem is what we have to see. So these are, of course, these are the couple of scenarios which I have given. Of course, there are a lot of scenarios. So I'll be making a separate video regarding the scenarios and all, everything as separate. Not now. I'm going to make a different video for different, because there are a lot of scenarios are there, especially being a scrum master, wherein you will be learning. Almost more than 50, 60, 70 scenarios will be there, because everybody have their own practical experience. Based on that, the scenarios will be varied. So anyway, of course, I'm going to make a separate video for that. So of course, these are the simple scenarios which I have just mentioned in this present video, right? So these are the questions, because this is a first video which I am posting and have preparing. Of course, being in training, normally these scenarios, explanation and all, everything will be given by me. But in reference to the YouTube and all, I would like to share my experience with all the people, so that I got an idea. So why can't I prepare different questions followed by the answers? Of course, whatever the questions I have mentioned was very small. Of course, I have hardly have written not more than 6 questions in this video. So in coming days, I'll try to write more questions followed by the answers and all that. I hope these question and answers will be helpful to the people who are new to Agile and Scrum Master, all that, or else to the people who are already learned and who is working. But if they have any kind of confusion and all, so the confusion will be wiped off here. Or else for the people who already learned and who is applying for the job opportunities and all, everything. So it is going to be helpful for them as well. So this is what generally the whole session about this. So this is, I can say, agile scrum related frequently asked questions is what exactly this video is all about. If you have any questions in regarding to this video, followed by this, if you have any kind of training needs in reference to the agile scrum master, product owner, all that, please reach out to our contact details, which will be posted in below to the video. Thank you. Bye.